The progress of the mission from start to finish and still going is never a simple matter. It's complicated. I indicated yesterday the complications of the journey of our MSC pioneers from France through to Sydney and eventually to this Port Breton. This is Mission Alive. I'm Roger from the MSC Mission Office. I want to continue a little bit with some of the complexities of what was happening at the time. There was the story of the Marquis de Rays, who was a con man bringing French and Italian settlers out to what is now New Ireland. Complete disaster. So the missionaries had heard about him and had read up on what he was doing and thought to go on one of his boats to get out there. They were strongly advised against that and went on another boat. And then came the story of Manila, Singapore, Jakarta, and eventually through to Sydney. At that time, the world, in that part of the world, is as complicated as it is now. There was a Dutch East India Company, which is now Indonesia, and there was Dutch New Guinea. There was the German New Pomerania, which was the north side of the New Guinea island, and taking in there of Rabaul and New Ireland, where the missionaries eventually went, and that was called German New Guinea. And then there was the Papuan side, which was governed by Australia, and the Papuan side was actually a territory of Australia after the Commonwealth, and as time went on. And eventually, now some of the complications there was when Bishop Coupe, well, first of all, Bishop Father Navarre left some French priests and what is now the Gazelle Peninsula, where the Talais are in New Britain, and then the Germans later, and then Bishop Coupe became the bishop. And the Germans indicated they didn't want the French priests, they wanted German priests. So after that, priests from our German province were sent there. And the French continued in Papua, but they had a problem with language. Many of the French didn't speak English, and the Australian government administration and the patrol officers were all English speakers. So Bishop de Beaumanoux worked hard to get an English-speaking priest in Port Moresby. After various attempts, the Australian province took on Port Moresby and then later Eastern Papua. So then you had all these different provinces involved in what would become Papua New Guinea and the province of Papua New Guinea. So there are many complications in that, and a fascinating story in itself. Into the bargain then, when they got to Thursday Island to set up a base there, they found what they call the Manila Boys. These were men from Manila, the Philippines, who were pearl divers in that area. And since they had been in Manila, had a contact there, they ended up getting from the Philippines Filipino catechists, whom they employed in many parts of Papua. And they in their turn married local women, and so you have this long line of families that have Filipino origin. And a lot of them are still there today. In Rabaul, the first Vicar Apostolic was Ludwig or Louis Coupe, and his successor was a man called Gerard Vestas. Prior to coming to Rabaul, he was in Manado, in what is now Indonesia, in the Celebes. Two things in that. These people were Melanesians, and MSC were given the mandate to evangelise Melanesia and Micronesia, so they went there. Also, Vestas was Dutch, so it was natural for him to be there with the Dutch. So he was Prefect Apostolic of Celebes from 1919 to 1923. And in 1926 he went to Rabaul as the, I think at that time it might have been the Archbishop. He became the Vicar Apostolic of New Pomerania, which later became the Archdiocese of Rabaul. So there was a bit of a puzzle to me for a while when this man from Celebes had made his way all the way to Rabaul. That was the reason, because they were Melanesians. Another little story in that was Bishop Henry Varius, who was at Yule Island. He was appointed the Bishop of New Pomerania at first. So they had that appointment from May 10, 1889 to 28th of December 1889. There was such an outcry amongst the missionaries and the people that this man should not be moved that they changed it. And then they appointed Coupé, 28th of May 1889 to 1923. So there was all these really nice little stories in amongst it, and that was the mission. That was how it went. They had to work their way through all of these things, the complexities of nationalities and colonies and many things. That was how the mission went, and the mission did go ahead. So thank you for being with us on Mission Alive.